Today, I am going to explain an American science fiction disaster movie, Geostorm, released in the year 2017. The movie is about the brothers who, despite having mutual issues, save the world from an awful geostorm by teaming up against the ones trying to destroy the mankind. But before we begin to tell you this amazing story, please make sure to subscribe our channel so that you are updated with our next thriller movie. The movie opens with a girl, Hannah, informing us how the recent climatic changes affected the world in 2019 and that many people died due to the unexpected changes. This situation led the world to come together and work as the representatives of humanity instead of their countries. So the scientists from 17 countries worked together and formulated a system of satellites that covers the globe. And this is what they call the Dutch Boy, and its foundation was led by Hannah's father. Dutch Boy helped them control the weather conditions and save humanity from extinction. The scene shifts to Hannah's father, Jake, who has been summoned to a hearing for disobeying the commands of the International Climate Committee. Jake's brother, Max, who is assistant secretary, asks his brother to stay calm. The person in charge of the committee blames Jake for not obeying their orders and punching one of the federal ministers in the face. Jake counters the questions and states that he had to disobey their orders because there were a series of storms in certain areas where many people would have died if he had not turned on the Dutch Boy. When the person in charge implements his decisions on Jake, he disrespects him, and after the meeting is adjourned, Max informs his brother that he has been given the charge of Dutch Boy and fires him from his job. The scene shifts to 3 years later in the Registan Desert, where we see a whole village has been frozen to death due to unexpected changes in weather. A team of U.S. soldiers visits the place and reports to the White House. After that, Max meets his girlfriend, Agent Sarah, who works for the president, and when they are talking, Max receives a call and is summoned to a security briefing. The president and other authorities are discussing whether what happened in Afghanistan was due to Dutch Boy, which concerns the president as he does not want to hand over something faulty to the International Committee. When the president's assistant, Dacombe, tries to drag politics into it, Max interferes and asks for a proper team to fix what happened to Dutch Boy, as they cannot do anything from here. The president agrees and allows only one man to leave for the satellite service station. After the meeting ends, Dacombe meets Max and suggests him to contact Jake for this job. The movie proceeds to Dutch Boy headquarters, where we see the affected satellite being brought back for inspection. An Indian worker, Mahmood, deals with the satellite alone and copies files in his holoframe secretly. When he tries to leave, the airlocker opens and leads to his demise. On the other hand, Max arrives to see his brother and meets his niece Hannah at Jake's place. Jake treats Max rudely for destroying his life at first, but when he hears that Dutch Boy is facing some issues, he becomes intrigued to hear what Max wants to say. Max assures him that he is the best and that he cannot turn his back on something he loves the most. Max agrees to work under someone else's command rather than his own. Then we see a man named Chung, who is an engineer at the Pacific Climate Council in China. Chung notices some issues with Dutch Boy, and when he is at the market for shopping, the temperatures rise, leading to a huge destruction. The media considers the incident to have happened due to some issues with the gas line. The next day, Jake says goodbye to his daughter, who is worried about him, and takes a promise for him to return safely for her, as she knew that Dutch Boy was the reason behind what happened in Hong Kong and Afghanistan. Max promises her, and after that he arrives at the base station, from where he gets launched into space, and finally arrives at the service station of Dutch Boy. He is welcomed by Ute Fassbinder, and when Jake is blaming the chief scientist for not properly managing the Dutch Boy, Fassbinder reveals that she is the chief scientist and leads him to introduce him to her team. Fassbinder introduces Jake to Duncan, Doucette, Hernandez, and Adisa, who belong to the technical and mechanical fields. Duncan does not like Jake at first, but when he informs them that he is the one to make the Dutch Boy, all of them become silent, and Jake asks them to start troubleshooting to identify the issues, as he thinks that the Dutch Boy has caused the deaths of so many people in Hong Kong and Afghanistan. Meanwhile, Max and Sarah are together when Chung contacts Max and informs him that someone has intentionally messed up with Dutch Boy to cause problems in Hong Kong and Afghanistan. And whoever is doing this wants to create a chain of storms that will result in a geostorm that may be uncontrollable for them. Max gets scared after listening to this and meets his friend Dana, who is a hacker. Max asks her to check what's wrong with his holoframe, as he has been locked out by Dutch Boy. Dana runs some tests, finds that they are in some serious trouble, and asks for immediate action. After that, Fassbinder and Jake are asked to listen to a transmission from the White House, and when they arrive, Jake is stunned to see Decom and Max there. Decom orders Jake to give his best as they have come too far to fail now and leaves, stating that Jake must report Max from now on. After Decom and everyone leave, leaving the brothers alone. Jake gets mad at Max for lying to him, but Max does not listen to him, threatening him with his immediate return in case of any disobedience of the orders. In the following scene, Max comes to see Sarah when Chung informs him of his arrival and asks him to meet him. Sarah and Max wait for him, and when Chung arrives, a mysterious man pushes him in front of a car and kills him. Chung dies, stating Zeus, while Sarah follows the man and loses him when he gets in a car. Subsequently, Jake and his team get ready to inspect the Hong Kong satellite, but before it can land on the service station, it runs into some technical issues and all the drives get burned. Doucette informs Jake that the air locker doors that resulted in the death of Mahmoud had driven in them, and one of the doors is still stuck outside their satellite. Fassbinder and Jake get ready to get the door, and when Jake gets the door, his suit starts messing around, and Jake barely survives. On his return, Jake hides from Fassbinder's crew that he has gotten the drive, and when the duo checks the drive, they learn that it is a kind of virus that is causing issues in the Dutch boy system. Jake immediately calls Max and gives him a secret message using their own way of delivering secrets. Max rushes to Dana, and after cracking the code, Max learns that Jake is trying to warn him about trusting no one. Max then asks Dana to look for Project Zeus, and when she attempts to access the files, she informs Max that she cannot see them as they are on the White House server, and they need someone with access to those files, suggesting Sarah's name. On the other side, Jake and Fassbinder look at Mahmoud's video while clearing the logs and copying the files on his holoframe. They rush to see his locker to get the holoframe, but Doucette appears and points his gun at them. After being satisfied, Doucette leads the duo to where Mahmoud has hidden his holoframe, and when they check the holoframe, the duo discovers that the virus was brought here from somewhere. At the same time, Dana and Max arrive at Sarah's house, and they convince her to get them onto the White House server. From there, they discover that someone wants to create a Geostorm. Jake and Max start a transmission in which Jake informs Max about the virus and adds that the president may be doing this as he is the one who may want to keep the power over the Dutch boy instead of handing it over to the International Committee. In the following scene, Max is seen at the airport when he gets spotted by Sarah. On being asked, he convinces her that he will have to follow Jake to do the right thing and tells her that he wants kill codes from the president to reset Dutch boy's system and kill the virus. The president identifies Max, and he lies and says that he is going to see his father in Orlando. When Jake and Fassbinder return, they are informed that they have lost control of almost all of the critical satellites. Jake gets worried about how many lives they're going to lose because of Dutch boy, but then he thinks of launching the replacement satellites. His plan works once, but then they get into a bigger problem because now the countdown timer for Geostorm starts, and the Dutch boy gets set for self-destruction. While checking everything, Jake realizes that Duncan was the one to program the virus. Jake orders everyone to leave the service station while he finds Duncan working on something. Jake fights with Duncan and learns that he has done this for money. Jake beats him, and Duncan dies as the glass of the window next to him breaks and he freezes to death. Meanwhile, Decom meets Max and reveals that he knows that Max has lied to the president. When asked about the reason, Max informs him about his doubts about the president and the kill codes. Decom mentions that the kill codes are the president's fingerprints and retina scans. Decom then leads him to the secluded place, and as they arrive near a room, Decom attacks Max, but he manages to run from there. Max meets Sarah and informs her that Decom is behind this, and the next storm is going to hit Orlando. Sarah asks him to get a car for them and creates a fake scenario by firing in the air. Sarah manages to get the president out of there and meets Max, who is waiting for them with a cab. Sarah drives the car while Decom's men start following them, and the president gets confused with this all. Max reveals the situation to the president and assures him that they are trying to do the right thing. Sarah thinks of a plan and manages to get rid of Decom's men. On the other hand, Hannah and her mother become concerned for Jake, who is at the space station. At the same time, we see that when the last shuttle is getting ready to leave, Jake refuses to get inside, and Fassbinder tries to convince him. Jake reveals that he is the only man his brother will believe in with the kill code, so he has no other options as he will manually reset the Dutch boy's operating system. After that, Decom and his man destroy the can, thinking that the president and Max will be inside, but it was a bait. Sarah appears there and points a gun at Decom, stating that the president is not the only one who can be tracked. Suddenly, the police arrive and arrest Decom. But before he may leave, Decom suggests the president to be the god using the Dutch boy, while Max gets infuriated after listening to this and punches him in the face. The president, Max, and Sarah arrive at the NASA base station, where Max learns that Jake has decided to stay on the space station while everyone else has left the Dutch boy. Max and the president meet Jake, who is waiting for Max in the transmission room, and Max assures him that the Decom is behind everything, not the president. The president scans the kill codes and leaves the brothers alone. Jake apologizes to his brother, stating that he is sorry for being a burden on him. Max forgives his brother, and Jake rushes before the space station may be destroyed. He tries to rush to the operating system room, but he fails to open the door. Suddenly, Fassbender appears next to him and helps him open the door. The duo gets inside the operating system section, and Jake guides Fassbender to inform him after all the satellites are disabled. Jake and Fassbender reset the operating system at the last moments before the Geostorm may start and prevent the destruction. Unfortunately, the self-destruct enters the last phase, and the duo gets stranded. Jake spots a satellite there and asks Fassbender to follow him, and they manage to get inside it before the space station is destroyed. Everyone on the NASA space station gets sad thinking that Jake and Fassbender have sacrificed their lives, but then they spot the satellite using exhausting flares in a mayday pattern. Jake and Fassbender give up, thinking no one is coming to save them, but then a space shuttle arrives and rescues them. Jake and Fassbender return with the last shuttle, and Jake meets Max and the president. Jake apologizes to the president for doubting him and welcomes Sarah to the family. After that, Max, Hannah, and Jake are seen fishing when the brothers get bored and leave. Hannah then mentions that NASA fixed the Dutch boy and the scientists, and the people of all the countries have together again to face their problems together, which is the beauty of humanity, and the movie ends here. Overall, Geostorm is a great movie to watch with an amazing storyline, so make sure to check it out. To watch many more exciting recaps like this, don't forget to subscribe, as that's the only way we can keep making these fantastic recaps. And like this video, let us know in the comment section about your next favorite movie that you would like us to recap. Thanks again for watching, and stay safe and healthy.